We're at Morven Park in Leesburg, Virginia.
And even though we've both lived in Leesburg, we've never been here together, so we're looking forward to that.
Morven Park is a 1,000-acre historic estate located in Leesburg, Virginia. There's a lot to explore at Morven Park. The main attraction is the mansion, which we'll be touring today. There's also a carriage house, colonial Boxwood Gardens, and hiking trails. Morven Park is on the National Register of Historic Places and is a Virginia historic landmark. The mansion was the home of Thomas Swan Sr., who was the governor of Maryland right after the Civil War. Now, the park focuses primarily on former owner Westmoreland Davis.
He was Virginia's governor from 1918 to 1922, and he and his wife were the last residents of this park until it became public in 1967.
Westmoreland Davis purchased Morven Park in 1903. He and his wife Marguerite were avid equestrians and were involved in the Virginia fox hunting community. Davis was a founding member of the Loudoun Hunt and served as master of foxhounds. He later made Morven Park into an agricultural showpiece and even raised his own turkeys. Morven Park is also home to the Museum of Hounds and Hunting of North America, which includes displays of art and artifacts about the sport of fox hunting. The house tour ends at the museum, but begins in the visitor center. There's an exhibit about fox hunting and horse riding in the visitor center, which we explored before the mansion tour. Morven Park has an international equestrian center, which hosts the Loudoun Hunt point-to-point races every year. The Loudoun Hunt point-to-point races feature challenging steeplechase courses and attract riders from around the world. This event is held in conjunction with the Loudoun Fairfax Hunt each spring.
Tours of the mansion are guided and last about 45 minutes. The tour covers the civic and social lives of Westmoreland Davis and his wife, Marguerite. Their former home is filled with antiques and furnishings that the Davises collected during their travels. Westmoreland Davis was the first Virginia governor to ride in a plane. He was given the wooden airplane propeller from the plane he was on, which was converted into a clock.
The home has undergone several transformations during its time. When Judge Thomas Swan owned the property, the home was in the Greek Revival style and had a portico. However, his son Thomas Swan Jr. converted the house into the Italianate style with 4 towers. Years later, the home was changed back to the Revival style, which we see today. Let's not forget about Marguerite Davis, who accomplished a lot in her career too. She volunteered to sew silk bags and fill them with smokeless gunpowder during World War I. During the Spanish flu epidemic, she served as a volunteer nurse in the pneumonia ward of the John Marshall Emergency Hospital.
Parts of the film Foxcatcher were filmed here, starring Steve Carell and Channing Tatum.
And a funny thing about that, I actually worked at the Leesburg outlets while they were filming that movie, and Channing Tatum came to the outlets and everyone was freaking out. I never saw him personally, but it was a big moment for Leesburg. Now we are headed over to the carriage house.
The Winmill Carriage Museum features a collection of horse-drawn vehicles. Most of the collection belonged to a woman named Viola Winmill. She started collecting carriages in 1928 and acquired over 100 of them. The museum also contains 2 carriages the Davises owned. Once cars came into the picture, the Davises no longer used their carriages anymore, but they still kept them around. This hearse is from the mid-19th century. When Viola Windmill died in 1975, her casket was carried in this exact hearse.
So look, if you look there, you can see him.
Oh,
Doing caterpillar
that's
things.
gross. Gross but cool.
So I was telling him that when I grew up here, we took 2 field trips here in middle school. And he was like, oh, it must have been a lame field trip, because when I was in school, we went on glacier tours and, what'd you say, use snowshoes and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we can't all grow up in Alaska.
Yeah, field trips are a little different in Alaska, but when you do a glacier tour every year, you get kind of tired of it.
Sure.
Now onto the Boxwood Gardens, which are one of my favorite things about Morven Park.
The Davises were really into agriculture. Davis began farming and even advocated for farming reform, specifically related to the importance of using science to improve productivity and sanitation. Marguerite loved gardening and planted the colonial gardens here.
It's a weird looking plant.
Ah. The Davises are buried in a tomb within the gardens.
Well, that was it for the house and grounds. We were hoping to see some turkeys. I saw turkeys the last time I was here, but there weren't any.
Yeah.
What did you think of it now that you were actually at Morven Park?
The views were pretty cool. I like the tour of the house.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting seeing the different styles in the rooms, but I did want to see some turkeys, so I'm a little bummed about that, not gonna lie.
Well, if we ever come back and if the turkey farm actually has turkeys, we'll be sure to make another video.
Bye. Thanks for watching.